Hi there, I'm Robert Canright. I was born in Mexico, so I'm a Hispanic engineer, and I'm here to talk to young people about engineering. This is part of a four-part series on the good, the bad, the ugly of engineering and then what to do. This is part two. This is the bad part of engineering. I don't want you to be surprised when you go in to engineering and find out not everything is perfect. So I'll just let you know up front a few things to expect. Number one, math. Math is hard for most people. Even people who like math find engineering math hard. I read the autobiography of a U.S. congressman, a smart man, who said he liked math, but when he studied statics in engineering school, it kicked his butt, and he changed majors. Well, guess what? He became a congressman. He was successful. But he didn't like that level of mathematics. Now, that does not mean you have to give up engineering if you find math hard. It just means you need to be prepared for engineering math, which starts with calculus. You'll need to do well in high school algebra because it is also good to have a calculus class in high school. Because in college you'll need to study differential equations and linear algebra and Laplace transforms. The engineering courses use this math. For most people it is work to master these topics. But just because it is work does not mean you shouldn't do it. When I was in high school, I was literally hitting my head against the wall out of frustration, because I found freshman algebra was so hard for me. But you see, I had no math at all, none at all in 8th grade. We had no math teacher. So I was completely unprepared for freshman level math in high school. The point is that math is a big bump on the road for many people, but you can overcome the bump with tutoring and hard work. So don't let it get you down. Just be prepared. The next bad thing about engineering is overtime, called OT. When I was going to school, no one told me about overtime. When I graduated, I thought I would be done with things imposing on my evening, all the homework. I was going to be free. Then I found out that my company made commitments to require the engineers to work 60 hours a week. You know what that is? It's 12 hours a day of working, 2 hours a day of driving, 6 hours for sleeping, and you have 4 hours a day with your family, 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. That's just supper and paying the bills. If all you do is work, eat, and sleep, and then you have to go to work again, it's really kind of a drag. And all the chores you could do during the week are piled up for the weekend, so your weekend is crowded with chores. If you get sick, there's no time to see a doctor. If you do miss work and see a doctor, then you have to work on the weekend to make up the lost time. You have no idea how hard 60 hours a week is until you start doing it. Many people work 60 hours a week because they have low-income jobs. I have enormous respect for parents working hard to provide for their families. But you go to college to get a high income, so you don't have to work 60 hours a week. So just be aware of that being something that could come down the road to you. The third difficult bad thing about engineering is layoffs. When I was going to school, no one told me about layoffs. Business cycles go up and down. When business is bad, they show you the door. The selection for layoffs is a lot like a hand grenade being thrown at random into a crowd. You think working hard and accomplishing your goals will protect you, but it doesn't. Surviving a layoff turns out largely to be a matter of luck. The other bad thing about engineering is sometimes there are no jobs. You cannot find a job to save your life. Another way of saying it is that demand is cyclical. It has ups and downs, but this is true of many fields. However, the number of engineering jobs is also out of phase with supply. What that means is a lot of times there are many jobs available, but few college graduates coming out of school from engineering. Or there are lots of young people graduating from school with engineering degrees, but few jobs are available. So the supply and demand, they don't line up. There out of phase, as they say. Now, in the last talk, I said that engineering is good because they have a lot of jobs. Well, yes, but not always. Engineers do get caught in downturns. You might graduate at a bad time. You have to hope you don't run into bad luck. So just don't be surprised that when times get bad, engineering can be bad too. The fifth bad thing about engineering is you have to be careful with the specialties. Your specialty can be tricky. It can hurt you. You might have a narrow specialty that one day gives you a lot of money, but later makes you unemployable. Examples might be optical engineering or nuclear engineering or artificial intelligence. There might be a sudden interest in hiring some specialty. Everybody wants one. Everybody wants to hire an artificial intelligence engineer. The salaries go up. Then the companies change their minds and lay off the specialty engineers. And there is an oversupply of out-of-work specialists. The market is done, let's say, for engineering, nuclear engineers. It's just gone. So you might want to consider the mainstream specialties. The main fields are civil, electrical, mechanical, and software engineering. That's where you're going to find the most jobs. You pick a field that is currently popular, like nuclear or petroleum engineering, and you might find yourself without any jobs being available. Out of all the mainstream, perhaps civil engineering is the most stable. Another bad part about engineering is being overqualified. It is hard to get a non-engineering job with an engineering degree. You will be called overeducated for many jobs. It will be hard to change fields. If you get laid off as an engineer and try and get another job, many people will turn you away and say you are overqualified. Another bad part of engineering is you have to be shrewd. Sometimes you need to be shrewd to get a job. Say you got a bachelor's degree in music, then you go back and get a master's in computer science. If you get laid off during a downturn, you cannot get a programming job. Then you have to remove your computer science degree from your resume and say you just have a music degree. Then you can try for non-programming jobs. I had to remove my professional engineering license from my resume so I would not appear overqualified for engineering jobs. Another bad part about engineering is impossible assignments. I got an engineering assignment in school that was impossible. This was when I was a mechanical engineer and we had a gear transmission design with specific sorts of gear ratios that were available to us, and we were given like a design space that we could work with, and we're given requirements we had to meet, and I couldn't do it. And then I wrote a computer program to prove that out of all the options we had, all the combinations would fail. There was no possible solution from what he gave us to work with to the goals he told us we were going to be graded on. So I asked him, "Professor, why did you give us an engineering assignment that was impossible?" And he said, "Well, when you get to work, you might get an assignment that's impossible. You should just know that." Well, how about that? I was disappointed, and it turned out that he was right. And you might at work get an assignment that's literally impossible. And it's disappointing when you feel like you cannot succeed in your assignment. Sometimes they give you too many assignments, and you succeed in some and fail in others, and no one likes to fail. If they just give you more time, you could succeed, but they won't. Of course, that means you might be tempted to put in extra hours and work for free. They call it being professional, but it is exploitation. If you are salaried, so you get paid for 40 hours, we have to work 50 or 60 hours a week to get your assignments done, and they are taking advantage of you. And let me tell you about a meeting that I went to once. The president of the company was speaking. The audience was all vice presidents and managers. I snuck in, and I got to hear the president of the company telling all the managers, "Pull your schedules in, make them shorter. I want everybody to be working overtime all the time. I often thought that. I often suspected that the schedules we had were not real schedules, that they're just squeezing us to get free work out of us, and it's true. It is that way sometimes. I heard the president actually say that. So in summary, the bad parts of engineering are tough math, overtime, layoffs, tight markets when everybody's laying off, which can happen to other fields, the double-edged sword of specialized engineering, being overqualified, the need for shrewdness, and impossible assignments. So, just because there is a bad side to engineering does not mean you should avoid it. If you do not have connections in the professional world because you are the first in your family to go to college, then engineering is a good way to the middle class. If you really like math and physics, then engineering is where you might get to use math and physics. A lot of times you do not actually use the math and physics at work, but you use technology that the math and physics prepares you to understand. If you are already in the middle class, then accounting or law might be better alternatives, but then, I don't know, the bad side of accounting or law. Thank you for your time. Bye.